This week's story is certainly strange, so settle in. It's a bizarre case that still hasn't been solved. At 10:45 a.m. on July 2nd, 2002, a limited express train passed by Sumiyoshi Station in Kobe. Being a limited express train, it wasn't scheduled to stop at Sumiyoshi, and, as such, zoomed past the station at roughly 100 kilometers per hour. Yet, despite not being scheduled to stop at the station, one passenger decided they would be getting off there and jumped off the train as it passed through. That's right, they jumped off a train going 100 kilometers per hour and landed on the station platform. They then walked away, seemingly unharmed. What on earth happened? A news report by the Kobe Shimbun newspaper 2 days later went as follows. Yesterday, Hyogo police discovered that a man jumped from the limited express train passing through Sumiyoshi Station at over 100 kilometers per hour. The man paid no attention to the gazes of passengers waiting on the platform and walked away, as though nothing had happened. Police are looking for the man on suspicion of violating the Railway Business Act, but have been left scratching their heads, saying, "I've never heard of such a stopover before." At 10:45 a.m. on July 2nd, several people saw a man wearing red clothing jump from the limited express train heading towards Himeji from Omiimazu. The man violently collided with the station's steel fence, then got up and walked towards the ticket gates. Several passengers on the train also noticed seeing a person's hands and feet, followed by a thump when the person disappeared. After receiving a report from Japan Railways, police searched the area. They also searched nearby hospitals and medical centres, but no person matching the description was found. According to Japan Railways, the limited express reaches maximum speeds of 130 kilometers per hour. It slows down as it passes through stations, but it still would have been going between 100 and 110 kilometers per hour. The windows of the train don't open, so the person must have hidden in the carriage coupling when the train previously stopped at another station. The bewildered officer in charge of the case stated, "To jump off a limited express train and not suffer any major injuries. It's a mystery." So, we have a man in red who jumped off a train going more than 100 kilometers per hour and landing on the station platform. He landed so hard that he collided with the metal fence with enough force to bend it. That fence was still bent several years later, an eternal reminder of the man who jumped off the express train and hit it. Numerous people both on the platform and on the train saw this man jump off. He didn't appear out of nowhere, and he certainly wasn't a prankster who just made it look like he jumped off. He really did. There were numerous eyewitnesses and physical proof. Then, he simply got up and walked away. He disappeared through the ticket gates and was never seen again. No hospitals or medical centres over the next few days reported dealing with any patients who had injuries matching what you might expect in this scenario. As the officers dealing with the case stated, it was truly bizarre. No matter how you look at it, jumping off something moving over 100 kilometers an hour means that you're going to land with a painful impact, and if the bent metal fence was anything to go by, yes, that man hurt himself. Yet he stood up and walked away as if it were nothing. Now, obviously, jumping from a moving train is illegal, and police searched for him under suspicion of violating the Railway Business Act, but the man simply vanished. The station didn't have cameras at the time, and if it weren't for the passengers who saw him, and the bent fence, then there would be no proof that the man ever existed at all. How did he do it? How did he not at least break several bones when he jumped from the speeding train? It wasn't like he landed on anything soft. He hit a hard concrete platform and a steel fence. Hard enough to bend it and snap pieces of it. It's believed the man's back was what hit the fence, which would be the only real possible way he would survive. But still, the man didn't just survive. He got up and walked away, by all reports with no effort and no sign of injury. Of course, it's possible that the man's adrenaline was pumping so hard that he was injured, but he just didn't notice it in the moment. He'd just jumped from a speeding train after all, potentially his first attempt ever, and he didn't die. It's possible his adrenaline was pumping so hard that his mind didn't fully register what had just happened. Caught up in the moment, he just got up and walked away, and it wasn't until later that he realized the extent of his injuries. This type of thing has been documented numerous times over the years. It's certainly nothing new. But if so, why didn't the man go to the hospital? Why didn't he see a doctor? Police searched all the medical institutions in the area and found no one matching the suspect, nor received news of anyone matching the suspect. One possibility is that he visited a hospital in another area. He could have easily done this before news of what happened reached the public, as it took 2 days for papers to report on what happened. It seems a bit strange that none of the doctors or nurses who may have dealt with him wouldn't have made the connection after hearing the news though. But if he did visit somewhere far away, maybe they just never saw it. It was reported in several large newspapers, yes, but that doesn't mean everyone reads those newspapers, or even that article in particular. Maybe they just didn't know. Or maybe he didn't visit a hospital to begin with. This is just one of the many mysteries surrounding this case. The man who jumped off the train was never seen again after he walked out of the station. Whether he survived or whether he was injured, who he was and why he jumped, to this day, nobody knows. It was clearly deliberate. He had to hide in the connection between carriages and wait for the speeding train to approach the station before he jumped off. But why this was necessary is baffling. It's not like trains are so sparse that you need to jump off an express train just to reach your stop in time. If he was that desperately late for something that he couldn't wait for an all-stops train, then why not take a taxi? Why not explain that you're going to be a little late? What could possibly require risking your life by jumping off a speeding train? Or perhaps it was for fun. A test of courage, as it were. Maybe there was no reason, and he just wanted to try it. There's even the possibility that he wasn't expecting to survive the landing. But I think this one is a bit of a stretch, as he clearly aimed for the platform and the fence, knowing that would bring him to a stop. Otherwise, he could have jumped off the train at any point of the journey. At the end of the day, we know very little about this extremely bizarre and baffling case. We have evidence of a man jumping off a speeding train and landing on the platform, colliding with the steel fence at the end. Then he got up, walked away, and was never seen again. There are so many more questions than answers, and considering how much time has now passed, we may never find out why. The statute of limitations also passed on this bizarre incident 1 year later, so the case was officially closed, unsolved. This incident was so strange that station workers reportedly refused to talk about it in the years following, probably because so many people kept asking about it, and they didn't know anything that the public didn't already know anyway. This was no doubt a directive from above as well, but it also helped fuel even more strange rumours surrounding the case. The mystery man who jumped from a speeding train and survived. A case so bizarre that not even the station staff wanted to talk about it. And hard to blame them, really. But what could it all mean? What really happened that day? And why? What do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.